Okay, so I just want to thank our sponsors tonight, Sandy and Sid Goldschmidt, in honor of my daughter Bat Yisara's Bat Mitzvah, the Shabbos, and the engagement of their granddaughter Chaya to Moshe Fabi, Mazel Tov, and also sponsored by the Zanjurian family in memory of Avi's cousin, Pinya Rachel Bas Mordechai. These words of Divrei Torah should be a schus for her neshama. Neshama should have an aliyah. Okay, so just quickly, we finished last time the sugya of asmachta and the sugya of Masachet Bakuvia of gambling, and just want to finish up the Gemara, and then we'll start the next Gemara. So the Gemara discussed the two reasons why Masachet Bakuvia are possibly usher, whether or not it's because of Ein Lo Umnus Elahu, or it's because of asmachta. So the Gemara says, "My beniyo ik benayu." What's the nafkamina? The nafkamina is whether or not you have another job. The Gomer umnusa achrisi. So then we go to the Gemara at the bottom of Chavdal and Beis. Amar Rav Yehuda, emasai bizman she'ein lahem umnus elahu, aval yesh lahem umnus shalohu ksherin. So the Gemara is commenting at the bottom of Chavdal and Beis, 3 lines from the bottom, that in the Mishnah says, Amar Rabbi Yehuda, emasai bizman she'ein lahem umnus elahu. The Mishnah itself said, when is a person pasal le'edis for Masachet Bakuvia? When he doesn't have another job. If the Mishnah itself says that that's the only situation where a person would be pasal le'edis, so what's the Gemara saying? Obviously, there's no problem of asmachta, because that should be a problem irrespective of your financial situation, and you should always be usher. So the Gemara is asking, Alma taima de mastisha mishum yeshuva shalaylamhu. Kashila Rami Bar Chama. How could Rami Bar Chama with a straight face say that this is an issue of asmachta if Rabbi Yehuda is telling us that the reason is only when it's a situation of he doesn't have another job? So the Gemara says, "V'chitema pligi rabbanan alei de Rabbi Yehuda." And if you say that this is an issue that Rabbanan argue on Rabbi Yehuda, and that was just Rabbi Yehuda's opinion, and we could save Rami Bar Chama and say he's only working within the Rabbanan's shita. Well, Rabbi Shua Levi, doesn't Rabbi Shua Levi tell us, Kol makom sham Rabbi Yehuda emasai bameh eino elo lefarish. So this is fascinating. This is halacha is going to be dictated based on whether or not how we translate these phrases in the Mishnah. So the Gemara says emasai. What is emasai? Is emasai a clarification, or is emasai a machlokes? Is emasai coming to argue with the original opinion? So Rabbi Shua Levi says it's only eno elo lefarish on the top of Chav Hei Amud Aleph. If it's eno elo lechamrish, so then who's back up the creek? That's going to be an issue with Rami Bar Chama. So bameh eno elo lefarish divrei chachamim. Rabbi Yochanan Amar say emas lefarish. Ubameh lachlok. And Rabbi Yochanan's opinion is that emasai is lefarish and bameh is lachlok. But what says the Gemara bottom line? Dekuli amasai emasai lefarish. But everyone agrees that emasai is coming to be an explanation. If it's coming to be an explanation, we don't end up to have a machlekes tanoim. So Rami Bar Chama is against both Chachamim and Rabbi Yehuda. So the Gemara says, Gavra karamis. What are you asking from Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi on Rabbi Bar Chama? They're both entitled to their own opinions. And obviously, Rabbi Bar Chama is going to say that emasai is not going to be lefarish, and emasai is going to be a machlekes, and therefore Rabbi Bar Chama is entitled to his opinion to say that the machlekes in our Mishnah is going to be about this very issue, and Rabbanan's opinion that say Masachet Bakuvia is pasul always is because of asmachta, and emasai will be a machlekes. This issue of emasai being a machlekes or emasai being lefarish, I didn't want to get into. There's a suffix of how sidetracked I want to get. So I toyed with the option of getting into this. There is a long thesis in Gittin on Daf Chesam and Beis that discusses this issue. It's talking about bringing a get from a sfina that's gosheshes, a sfina that's alayam, and the Gemara is in a discussion in that sfina that's alayam, and the get was written on the sfina. Is that considered in Eretz Yisrael? Is it considered outside Eretz Yisrael? And the Gemara discusses this issue. So the Taisus discusses this whole issue of whether or not emasai is lefarish or emasai is lachlok, and ultimately it has ramifications, major ramifications, in a sugya that I think I did discuss in Shomrei years ago about the bracha on hydroponics. Whether or not water is considered karka or water is considered independent, which actually is also connected to this week's parsha, because the discussion was what bracha did they make on the man. This is the Chayei Adam is the first pasuk to discuss this issue of whether or not, I just realized that the Chayei Adam discusses whether or not they made hamoitzi lechem in haaretz on the man, and the Chayei Adam, if I remember correctly, says that they made hamoitzi lechem in hashamayim, and they don't make hamoitzi lechem in haaretz. Problem is the Ritva in Kiddushin says that they were yoytze the mitzvah of matzah with the man. So it sounds like it was one of the Chameshes Minei Dagan. And it did have a din of, all right, whatever. So, Lamaisa, it all comes down to, you'll take my word for it, it all comes down to this very issue of is Emasai Lafarish, is Emasai Lachloik, and that's what Taisus discusses in this issue, which could have a lot of ramifications about this issue with hydroponics, with our matzah, with our marer, and all these greenhouses, what brachas you make on these issues, which la'halach is a machlekes Rav Avadia and Rav Vosner. La'halach, what bracha to make. Fine. So the Gemara says, Gavra Karamis, what are you bothering him? Rabbi Bar Chava is entitled to his opinion. Rabbi Shua ben Levi is entitled to his opinion. So then the Gemara says, Marsav Pligi, Marsav Loi Pligi. One day it says that they argue, one day it says that they don't argue. Frankly, Amar Kasha, V'loi Pligi, how could anyone in their right mind say that there's no machlokes? V'hotanya, but there's a brisa. Bein sheyesh loy umnes shalayu, bein she'ein loy umnes elohu, harei zeh posel. He's posel. So it's pasha that there's a day in Tanoim that holds that it's independent of his financial situation, of his work. The Gemara says clearly, the Brisa says clearly, Ben sheyesh lo umnos elu, ben she'ein lo umnos elu. Says the Gemara, yeah, we weren't interested in that shita. Hahi Rabbi Yehuda mishum Rabbi Tarfin. That's Rabbi Yehuda b'shem Rabbi Tarfin. That what? La'olam ein echad mehem nazir, lefi she'ein nazir nitna ela lafla. What? How do we just get into Naziris? So Rashi goes on to explain the following situations. You have two guys that are sitting on a bench that are very bored. And they see another guy walk by them and they say the following statement. Either they say, one guy says, I'm a Nazir if that guy's a Nazir. And the other guy says, I'm a Nazir if that guy's not a Nazir. Right? That's the situation. What does Rashi say? I always think of Washington Heights whenever I read this. You know? Yes. Shnayim Yoshvin, the Yoshvin Kronos. Shnayim Yoshvin ve'echad over zeh omer plonia over Naziru, v'zeh omer ein a Nazir. They have a machlokes whether it's about a Nazir. V'omer echad areini Nazirim kamaisu shehu Nazir. I'll be a Nazir if he's actually a Nazir. That's how convinced I am that he's not a Nazir. V'chaver omer areini Nazirim kamaisu she'ein a Nazir. I'll be a Nazir if he's not a Nazir. Shneim eskavnu l'naziris v'nimtza ke'ech mehem v'omer Rabbi Tarfin ein echad mehem Nazir. Rabbi Tarfin says it doesn't take effect. It has no ramifications, and they're not a Nazir. Why? It says Rashi she'ala safek amar dvarav tchila ve'ein zu hafla. Torah says when a person becomes another, ish kiyafli ish. Yeah, it's a mistake, right? Ish kiyafli lindar. Right. So Rashi says it wrong. Oh, maybe he's just quoting it. Ish kiyafli lindar neder. The kiyafli ish yefarish mashma. Amul Rabbi Tarfin the chitoli tna b'midi de lav biyade v'lo yadola afilu hachi avi asmachta v'lo amrina misveka gomer v'akne. So listen to what the Gemara is saying. Just like Rabbi Tarfin holds what? That if a person accepts Naziris, what? Without knowing what the situation is, B'Torah Safek, so the Naziris doesn't take effect. So he obviously is of the opinion that what? Asmachta is loikanya. And therefore, Bein sheyesh le'umnis elohu, Bein she'ein le'semen elohu, he never has das kinyan, and it would for sure be some sort of gezel, maybe gezel d'rabbanan, depending on the last few shiurim that we discussed, but he would hold like the opinion of Rami Bar Chama that it would be asmachta. Okay? So that's what the Gemara says. Now, you look at this Gemara, and you're just like, what are we comparing apples and oranges over here? The Pasuk says in Naziris that you need ish kiyafli. Means things have to be clear. That lechora is exeris hakosiv when it comes to Naziris. What does that have to do with having das kinyan when it comes to hilchos kinyanim? How is the Gemara figuring out Rabbi Tarfon's opinion in hilchos kinyanim about whether a smachta is kanya or a smachta is lo kanya, last week's sugya, based on a pasuk in Chumash
that has a Gzeres HaKosa that says that when I accept upon my Benaziris, my speech has to be clear. I can't have things based on a doubt, based on a situation of a guy walking by that I have no idea what his status is. What does one have to do with the other? So that's what's bothering Tosfos at the bottom of the daf. Hahi Rabbi Yehuda Mishum Rabbi Tarfa. The Omar le'nitne Naziris el afla. Perish HaKuntris. Alma kevan de misafgale. Ihavin Nazir. Iloim misveika loy mishabin nafshe. Hachanami misveika loy gamru makne. Just like over there, he's not going to be mishabed himself to be a Nazir. So too, in Hilchos Kinyonim, he doesn't have das kinyan to relinquish his assets for the game or for whatever he's involved with in order to make the kinyan happen. So says the Tosfos, the Hiksha Rivan, the second line. My medame kinyan l'naziris. Shani naziris de goli krodich siv kiyafli. Tosfos Haser Kasha. Understand, you yourself are quoting Ein naziris nitne elolaf flaw, which means you're coming off of the Gzeres HaKos of a Yish Kiyafli. There was a specific halacha said in the Parsha of Naziris that it has to be done with clarity. That's what haflaw means. Things have to be clear. So that what does that have to do with, in general, whether or not if a person does a kinyan and he doesn't know whether or not he's going to win the game, that's going to be a halacha, das kinyan for Hilchos Kinyanim. One has nothing to do with the other. There's no Gzeres HaKos when it comes to kinyanim. So Tosfos says, I love the kasha, but I have a hard time with the terrace. Listen to what Tosfos says. What does that mean? Yeah, we learned from it. What happened to the kasha? The kasha was such a great kasha. How come you're not answering? So I believe that's why Tosfos continues, and the Ri has another pshat. Listen to what the Tosfos says. Ri perish to mikomokom ma'aseh shapi. You have to really change things around in this Gemara. Torah never tells me what the word hafla means. How do I know what hafla ish kiyafli means? How do I know what that means? The Torah just says you need hafla. And we have no idea what hafla means. We define what hafla means based on our logic. Ma yafla v'hainu dekomer ahi Rabbi Yehudi da'amar mishum Rabbi Tarfon dekevan the loy choshev le'afla im kein shmami no dal korch hu da'amar le'abchi agav nasmachta. Since he has this overarching issue with das in general, so that is what caused us to define what hafla meant in the world of Naziris. That makes things comparable. You didn't know what hafla was, and now you're taking your general knowledge of what das in kinyanim is to now explain to me what hafla meant. Those things now can match up. But how do you understand, according to the first day, that doesn't need to explain anything? So I was thinking, perhaps one could suggest, according to the first day in Tosfos, maybe Tosfos is saying that that's exactly what's happening with Naziris. You need what's the similar type of das when it comes to kinyanim. That's what you need to become a nazir. Maybe it sounds fancy, but maybe Tosfos is saying no. I need das makne when it comes to naziris as well. It's not that I'm just being makabel myself a neder over here. Perhaps Tosfos is saying it's a chiddush, but otherwise I don't know how to read the Tosfos. Perhaps Tosfos is saying the same level of das makne that's needed in the halachos of asmachta of hilchos kinyanim is perhaps what's necessary for the world of Naziris. Why should that be? There's no kinyan going on in the world of Naziris. Maybe that's not the case. Maybe we view that I'm actually being makne myself and I'm giving over my own existence towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and I better have an ability to relinquish all of my control and everything that I own right now before I change my status and give myself over to HaKadosh Baruch Hu to now become a Nazir. And perhaps if that's the case, then those two things are comparable. The das kinyan of asmacht and the das for hafla are two things that could be compared. But perhaps that was the very issue that the second day in Tosfos said, Naziris is just like a regular neder. You're just accepting upon yourself halachos that pertain to you. You're not being makna, you're not relinquishing anything, so why are you comparing the two? And that's what led the second day in Tosfos to say that you need you need to redefine what the Gemara meant, and it really just meant that because of my understanding in general of Das, that was why I defined the psukim of Afla in the way it was, and we were just coming from the external svara of Rabbi Yehuda Mishum Rabbi Tarfon. Yeah, Itai.
And Rashi would fit in with the first way, or even with the second way?
I don't think Rashi tells us anything.
Maybe Rashi's open-ended.
Yeah, I don't think Rashi just says what the case of the Gemara is, but Rashi never deals with this question of what Taisus says. That's Exeris Akasa. What does that have to do with Das Kinyan? Yeah, I don't see anything from Rashi. Yeah.
Aren't the suffix fundamentally different between the two cases? Because in the case of the Nazir, the guy, it's the Messias of the guy, whether he's another Sur or not, the one they're making their bet on, is a fact. We know, I mean, they don't know, but it's true. I mean, they don't know. But the Messias of whether they're going to win the game or not,
Is unknown. Unknown to anyone.
So I think it makes sense that it's all about
So I like what you're saying. You know what you're saying? Tell me if this is right, but I think what you're saying right now is an issue, a similar issue that comes up in Hilchos Shabbos.
Okay.
Let's say we're the following situation: suffix psik reisha. Let's say the halacha is if I'm not miskavin to do a malacha, right? What's a good example? I'm taking a bench. I'm dragging a bench across the yard, right? I'm not mechavin to make a ditch. So the halacha is it's a davar she'eino miskavin is mutter. However, if it's really, really soft sand and it's inevitable that that's going to happen, so the Gemara says even according to Rishimon that davar she'eino miskavin is mutter, psik reisha is kamechavin dami, right? Good. So now what happens in a situation where I'm not miskavin, right? The post can talk about the following situation. Mishnah Berurah discusses the machlek is the Tazar and Kiveg, or what happens if in a situation where I'm closing a box, right? And I don't know if there are bugs inside the box. So I don't know if I'm going to be over tzad. And I'm not miskaving to be over tzad. I want to close the box because I used what I used from the box, and I'm not interested anymore in using the box, and I normally close, and that's what I do. However, if the facts are that there are bugs inside the box, it's inevitable that I'm going to be locking up and hunting those bugs. So is that a classic case of psik reisha or not? Because the facts on the ground, if the facts are there, then it's for sure going to be a psik reisha. The question is just whether or not the metzias on whether or not it's going to be. So that's very similar to what you're saying. So yeah, the Gemara does not distinguish between the two. The Gemara just says in both there are suffix. So therefore, it's going to be a smachta, and it's going to be a suffix by both. But I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, that's why I think it makes sense to remove it and say it's about the das of the individual, because it doesn't, like you were saying, because it's irrelevant what the actual suffix is.
Right. But clearly the Gemara didn't. The Gemara compared the two. The Gemara thought again. You could answer your question with the second day of Tosus. Really, the cases are not comparable. Really, we're not comparing the cases, and all we're doing is we're borrowing from the issue of general das, which is why we translated this phrase in the Torah by Nazir to be not b'Torah suffix, and therefore we're not comparing the actual cases. If you take the second opinion of Taisus that you're not comparing the actual cases, so yeah, they're distinguishable. One case is that there is a situation, there is the knowledge is there, at least to someone in the world, at least to this person, and it's not a total if game, but we were never trying to compare the cases according to second day Tosus, and I think that would fit better to answer your question as well. But if you hold like the first day of Tosus, that's mamish comparing the two, so then it's clear that the Gemara didn't distinguish between someone having this knowledge and this knowledge being already apparent in this world, or being non-existent and being totally an if game, like the case of gambling. So again, come back to these 2 days in Tosus, which I think are extremely fundamental for learning this Gemara on what the Gemara compared over here. Fine. So then the Mishnah, we go back to a brand new case in the Mishnah. So once again, so we did the first case of Psulin, and then we did Mesachah B'Kuvia, and we did Milva Ribis. So now we're up to Milva Ribis. So again, we asked the question, let's just bring back to what we asked before. We asked the question, when you read the Mishnah on Chav Daled and Beis, there are clearly situations that are not listed in the Mishnah that should have been enumerated in the Mishnah, like a Gazlan. So why isn't that? So many of the Rishonim, not all the Rishonim, but many of the Rishonim said that the reason is because our Mishnah is only enumerating psulim derabanan that you wouldn't have thought otherwise, but not the classic psulim minat Torah. So the question is, why is it that these people are only pasul derabanan? So Taisvis on Chavdalat Amebeis, the Eluin Apsulim, started off Yesh Gorsin Avodim. Mishim, there were those Rishonim that were Goris Avodim in the Mishnah. Now, if you have Avodim in the Mishnah, says Taisus, then you can't go with what I'm saying, because Avodim are for sure Pasal Minat Torah. There's Psukim that are Mamayid Avodim from being Kashim Minat Torah in Baba Kama. So the Gemara said, Desvirle, the Kachashiv Hacha Psuli Derabanan, Udeoraisa, V'loy Nehira. And Taisus says, I disagree. And he says, rather, like we just said before, that all the cases in the Mishnah are Psulim Derabanan. Why? Mishum Deloy Chashiv Mastisin Rak Psuli Derabanan. The Gazlanim like Tani, because Gazlanim are not mentioned in the Mishnah, and Gazlanim would be the first example that everyone would say would be listed. So now let's go a little bit. Now you see where Taisa says Umilva Beribis. So now my question to you is Milva Beribis. Why is it possible? Now again, let's just say some certain things we said back. What do you need to be possible Edis? Minat Torah. So one thing you need, says the Rambam, one way to become Pasal Minat Torah, the Rambam says, if you're over a lav sheish bo malchus. Dum dilo sachser shar bedisho. The Gemara learns that the Torah uses the word rasha when it comes to a lav sheish bo malchus, like sachsam, muzzling a cow. Anytime you do a lav, a losase, with a maisa that will get you malchus, that will now make you a rasha that's Pasal Edis. So if you do a maisa that's going to cause you to become pasal. That's going to get you malchus. A lav de malchus gift makes you pasal edis. What happens if you don't get malchus? Namely, what? Gzela. Gzela doesn't get me malchus. Why? Because it's nitin leishav and you can return it. So why am I pasal edis when it comes to gzela? So the Rambam says that's dumya de rasha de chamas. Al sashesh rasha lios eid chamas. You shouldn't be an eid chamas. So we talked about this issue of chamas. You're a chamsan. You desire money. And you steal. So anyone who has a heavy desire of money, the Torah pasul minat Torah to give edus. So that's why a gazlan would be pasul edus. Those are two ways that you can be pasul midoraisa. What you would need to be pasul midorabbanan, that's what we discussed in the past. We'll probably discuss it in the future again. Whether or not you need chamas on a level of the rabbanan, we were medayik from Rashi that maybe you would. The Ramah paskins like that la'alacha. But the Rambam holds that a person who's mechal yontiv midrabanan is also pasul edus. The Rambam would not hold that you would need a rush of the chamas on a level derabanan. But for a level deraisa, you either need malchus or you need to be a rasha de chamas. You need to have that burning desire for taking people's money like a gazlan has. So now, what about milva beribis? Milva beribis, why isn't he pasul deraisa? Yeah. Right, so I think it should be pasul deraisa. It should be similar to the second case, exactly. Excellent.
Why is he here?
Why is he here? Why is he only in the list of the Mishnah that's only psulim derabanan? Umilva beribis says Taisus, listen carefully, there's going to have major nafkaminas la'alacha, Rabbi Yisai. Next time we make a chasana. Umilva beribis, Myri beribis she'ena k'tzutza. Yeah, you're right, I got to eat it. I got to. If you're talking about ribis minat Torah, you're talking about ribis that was stipulated ribis, which means we signed the contract. We say, this is the interest you're going to pay on a monthly basis, right? You did a straight-up mortgage with a Jewish company, like we discussed last year, the Quicken Loans issues. Serious shalas, the kaitzates, you made the stipulations. There was ribis deoraisa, says Taisis, you're up the creek. That's not in our Mishnah. That's what? That's a classic pasul edus minat Torah. That's not going to be enumerated in our Mishnah. So therefore, what? I have to make it that it's not k'tutza. What does not k'tutza make it? It's ribis midrabanan. Again, I am not allowed to give interest. Forget I'm not allowed to give interest. I'm not also allowed to give a compliment to a lender to me. I'm not allowed to do a favor to a lender of mine because that's giving something additional to the loan. The Torah says you are not allowed to give anything in addition to the principle of the loan to another Jew. That's the halacha. Okay, we're not going to get into details when we learn the 6th parak of Bava Metzia. Mirz Hashem will discuss all these cases, but that's the basic idea. It's for sure monetarily but minat Torah, in order to be in a violation deraisa, it has to be ribis k'tzutza. Has to be stipulated and stipulate according to most Rishonim from the beginning of the loan, from the contract at the beginning, and then you violate an Isser D'Oraisa. If you violate an Isser D'Oraisa, Tais is saying, so then you should be Pasal Eidus Minat Torah. Again, Va'afilu Mayra Beribis Ktutza, but then Taisus backtracks. He says, and even if you hold that the Mishnah is talking about classic Ribis Minat Torah, Loi Mashma Le Isser Kaven Demidaite Yahiv. Taisus says, Ve'eno Pasal Eidus Elam D'Rabbanon. Taisus says a fascinating chiddush. Taisus says, no, perhaps even the lender beribis that's going to accept interest, and it was stipulated ribis. Again, Taisus is playing with these two options. What would happen if you have real bona fide Isser D'Oraisa ribis, right? And you took the ribis, you took the interest. Is the malve posel? You called him up to the wedding, and he now is the aid under the chuppah. Is he posel eidus minat Torah? Does this girl need a get? So Taisus says perhaps she needs a get. Perhaps he's only posel m'derabbanan, and that's why it's enumerated in our Mishnah. Why? Because people don't know. It's not such an obvious isser. And as I said in the past, psychology plays a role when it comes to psula eidus. And if people aren't aware about this isser, and this is not the way it's associated, that it's such a severe. Taisus chas v'shalom is not saying it's not an isser not Torah. Taisus obviously read this in Kriyas HaTorah, Parshas Bahar, and he said that this is going to be an isser d'oraisa. But perhaps the post facto situation, he's not going to be pasula eidus in this situation. So those are 2 days in our Taisus when it comes to milva beribis. Ribis de oraisa, do you become pasal minat Torah? The Rambam says beferish, like the first option of Taisus, if you violate ribis de oraisa, you're pasal de oraisa. You violate ribis de rabbanon, you're pasal de rabbanon, and that is the opinion of the Mechaber. The Mechaber quotes the Rambam straight up in Siman Lamed Daled in Hilchos Eidus. So now the Gemara, we just needed that in order to understand the Gemara, what we're talking about here. So now the Gemara says milva beribis. Who is that including? Amarove love beribis pasal eidus. Rava says not only is the lender, right? The lender we can understand. The lender is what is taking someone else's money, right? He's taking his interest, right? So that makes sense. Now again, is the lender pasal minat Torah? Is lender pasal m'derabbanan? 2 days in Taisus, right? Even on a level of ribis d'oraisa, maybe perhaps according to the second day, he's only pasal m'derabbanan. Now Rava adds in another issue. By the way, don't only think that the lender is pasal eidus, but even the borrower is pasal eidus. The borrower is pasal eidus what? So again, it would depend on our 2 days in Taisus. If we're adding into the Mishnah of not only the lender but the borrower, so now let's take Taisus the first day. So if it's ribis d'oraisa, l'chor the borrower should be a pasal eidus minat Torah. And if it's ribis d'Rabbanan, so then it should be pasal d'Rabbanan. That's for sure. And what about according to the second day in Taisus? If the lender is only pasal d'Rabbanan, even by ribis d'Oraisa, so l'chora the borrower should be no worse, and it should only be pasal d'Rabbanan according to the second day in Taisus. Right? Amarava loiva beribis, and that the Rambam says also. The Rambam says like the first day in Taisus. The Rambam says malva v'loiva psulim la'edus min ha-Torah by ribis d'oraisa, not like the second day in Taisus. Okay, Amarava leiva beribis pasal eidus, v'hanan tnan milva beribis. So challenges the Gemara. It's not true. The Mishnah says milva beribis, but not what leiva. So the Gemara says no, milva haba'a beribis, milva that comes with ribis. So the Gemara is now using a play on words over here. And the Gemara is packaging the malva and the loiva together to be one unit. So now, why am I making such a big deal about that packaging of the Gemara? Let me ask you the following question, Rabbi Yisai. We did all this background in order to understand the milva, right? Why is the loiva puzzle? Does he get malchus? He doesn't get malchus. So what are you going to tell me? The malva, what did we say? Jerome, you said, pashup shot, the malva should be like a gazlan. It's Rasha Dechamas. He's taking other people's money, right? So what about the lova? He's an enabler. So what is so just because you're an enabler, that makes you? I thought. Oh. So 1 second. It's 1 second. I thought we needed Rasha Dechamas. Let's talk on a level of D'Oraisa. If we want to, let's say, defend Shitas Rambam, first day in Taisus, whatever we said by the Malva, we're going to carry over to the Leiva. Where's the Chamas when it comes to the Leiva? So he's an enabler. I'm not going to give him after you. I know. But why is he Pasalei this?
He loves the money. He's getting so much that he's willing to.
Oh, say Abe's saying Svara and Rashi. So I think what you're saying is a big chiddush, but I think Rashi's saying what you're saying. So let's see. Let's first see the Svara. Let's see. Loiva Ribis Pasalei this says Rashi. Everyone have the Rashi with me? De kaimalon hamalve v'haloive oivrim b'loisase. We paskin that not only the malva but also the loive violates a loisase. V'kevan dechimud momin ma'aviru al das havale kirosha dechamos de oiver nami al loisase b'bnei chimud momin. Mamish like what Abe was saying. No, but it's also on the low. No, he's saying it's. No, Rashi's saying it on the loiva. That's what Rashi bothers Rashi. Why is the loiva Rosh Hashanah? Since his need of money allows him to what? To go to the extent that he's going against the Rabbeinu Shalom. That's a Rosh Hashanah. Now, if you look literally, I don't have the Rambam on me. If you look at the way the Rambam, when he says, not only alav sheish bo malchus pasels yuleidis, but also alav de chamas, says the Rambam, mipnei sheloi keach momen she'eno sheloi. Like a gazlan. If that would be the case, you're going to have a hard time with a loive. You're not taking money that's not yours. Rashi's saying, no, I have to reteach the din of chamas. Chamas doesn't mean taking forbidden money because of my deep desires for money. Chamas means a more expanded idea that I'm willing to go against the Torah because of money matters, because of issues when I get stuck. So if you take not Rashi's version, but rather you take the Rambam's version, so what are you going to do with our Gemara? What's going to be with a loive? A loive should not be a Rosh Hashanah. You shouldn't be Pasalei Eidis. Yeah, Itai. The loive? Yeah. Oh, you're saying the whole halva? The halva becomes gezel? I don't know. That's a big chiddush. I don't know. Yeah, even the Ribis, exactly. Even the Ribis, the Ritva writes in Kiddushin on Vavam Abeis, the Ritva writes, when a guy is Mekadesh a woman with the Ribis that he got, the Ritva writes that it's Kiddushin with his money. Meaning, Ribis is really owed.
The Ribis in the Malva.
Yeah. Even the Ribis is really owed and is not considered gezel, says the Ritva. There's a new mitzvah to be meishav v'chayachicha imech that you should give it back to the loiva. But it's not considered not your money, says the Ritva. And that's the pashtus in the Gemara. The exception of one sheet of the Rabbeinu Yerucham. The pashtus is, the Chazon Ish writes, is that Ribis is his. Ribis is his. He just has a mitzvah d'oraisa to give it back to the loiva. But it's not mammon shaloi kedin. It's not mammon shaloi kedin. So even that you're going to have to touch up, but over here. But so listen.
We're being a little bit harsh, right, with the loiva.
I agree.
It's not like, it's like if you have no choice.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah, 100%. But it's a puzzle.
Why would people go to the
I hear you, but you got it. Yeah, but
you
so that's what the good Torah is saying is when it's asur midaraisa, if you're in need for money, parnasa is not an excuse to violate Isur. So you become Pasal Eidis. So, in light of what Adi's saying, let's look at the Nemuki Yosef. I think exactly what you're saying is where the Nemuki Yosef is coming from. In my Gemara, the Nemuki Yosef is on the Mishnah, which is on Daf Daled Amud Beis in the Daf Arif. In the Oz Bahadar? Okay, great. So if you go, I don't know where it is in your column, but it's on the Mishnah and on the paragraph Umilva Beribis. So the Mishnah says, the Nemuki Yosef says, Umilva Beribis, Nami Parishna Begemara, the Milva Haba Beribis Kdani, Va'afilu Loive Pasol. And the Gemara goes on to say, the Gemara we just read, Va'afilu Loive Pasol, Ravo is Mechadish. Umishum Loive Itzrach Chalei Lemisnei, the Loy Mifsel El Midrabanon. And by the way, the Gemara is saying a chiddush that says the Nimuk Yosef. Why is the Milva Baribis stated in our Mishnah? Again, what's bothering the Nimuk Yosef? Because Gazlonim are not in our Mishnah. Memela, all the cases in our Mishnah are obviously not cases which are Pasal and Atayra, and that's why Gazlan was omitted in our Mishnah. So now implied the Nimuk Yosef asking a question, so a Malva Baribis is not Pasal and Atayra? Says the Nimuk Yosef, a Malva Baribis is Pasal and Atayra. So why is Malva Baribis said in our Mishnah? To teach me what the Gemara just taught me on Chavayim and Aleph. For the Loive. The Loive is only Pasal D'Rabbanan. What did we just introduce over here? A new option. Split. Even by Ribis Deoraisa, the Malva is going to be Pasal and Atayra, and the Loive is going to be Pasal D'Rabbanan. And that's why it was listed in our Mishnah for the Loive. For the Loive. The Afagav the Overa Issa Deoraisa, even though he violated Issa Deoraisa, Loi pasla midoraisa lodinu laholid, the loi damya ahi isura lahai mishum dahai loi mashmal linchi isura el milva de isle ravcha. Avaloiv the mafsed be loi. Like what Adi is saying. That Adi is saying that he's not doing some of that so usher. But for another reason that the Nimuk Yosef is not saying, but there's another issue over here. He's also pashtus, not a Rasha D'Chamos. So if he's not a Rasha D'Chamos, so it's someone that's going to be very hard to passel. So I could envision such a distinction like the Nimuk Yosef is saying, even for not the reason of what the Nimuk Yosef is saying, but rather because there's no chamas when it comes to the leiver. There's chamas when it comes to the malva. He should be pasal min atayra. The leiver shouldn't be pasal min atayra. But then the Nimuk Yosef goes on. Umiu. Hu adin de malva beribis derabanan pasal. When a malva lends ribis derabanan. What does that mean, lending ribis derabanan? Means I didn't stipulate the ribis is a case of ribis derabanan. What else is a case of ribis derabanan? Case of ribis derabanan is meucheres. You give the delayed ribis afterwards. Another case of even derech mekuchu memkar. You have cases of ribis derabanan. Person lets him keep a significant amount of change when he was a borrower. You have to really go through a lot of these cases. A lot of even just common situations of buying and selling, returning items. Those could all be ribis derabanan's situations. Listen to what the Nimuk Yosef says. The milva beribis derabanan pasol avaloive loy mifsal. But a loive is not pasol by ribis derabanan. Meaning, what did the Nimuk Yosef says? When you have ribis deoraisa, the malva is pasol min atayra, the loive is pasol min derabanan because the loive is by definition a lower level than the malva. When you have ribis derabanan, the malva is pasal derabanan, the loiva is not pasal at all. He doesn't get it goes down a notch, and he doesn't even get any psul. Which, by the way, if you understand that ribis dvarim is an iser derabanan, so why would it be ever usher for a loiva to say thank you if he's not violating any iser? And he's not going to, or he'll never be puzzled from that. It's an interesting question. Fine, but lamaisa. So far we have two shitas in the Taisus, and we have the shita of the Nimuk Yosef. But Rabbi said, I quoted to you the shita of the Rambam. The Rambam says beferish that if straight up, if it's ribis deraisa, the Gemara is saying malva and loiva are pasal deraisa. If it's ribis derabanan, malva and loiva are pasal midrabanan. How do you create a rasha dechamas on a level deraisa, on a level deraisa? So we suggested, according to Rashi, that you have a new definition of rasha dechamas, but that's not going to work for the Rambam, because the Rambam says this idea of taking mammon shaloi kedin, and that's not applicable when it comes to the loiva. He's not taking money; he's facilitating money. So listen to this unbelievable chiddush of Rav Yosef Engel. And I think this really could help within the shita of the Rambam. And this has tremendous ramifications. Look at the Gilyon Hashas from Rav Yosef Engel at the bottom. Chaf Heim and Aleph. Malva abba beribis. Nir be'enei hadatani achi v'loy tani behedya malva v'aloiva hainu mishum da aloiva be'emes lo hayalali pasal. Shari eno leikeach momon she'eno shelo. Listen to what he starts off. Why did it say malva haba beribis? Why didn't the Mishnah just say if you wanted to tell me that the milva and loiva are apostle, I have a comma. Malva apostle, loiva apostle. Why introduce it in this idea of a package deal? Malva abba beribis, that the Gemara has to now introduce to me that that's what it was insinuating to get the loiva as well. So says the Gilyoni Hashas, the Ribis of Engels, because there's a problem, which is what we're asking. That the loiva didn't really do anything wrong. He didn't take money shalom with it. Ain't a lokeach moment sheina shalom. He's not a Rasha de Chomos like the Malva is. Ve'ein kan chomes. Ve'rak mishum da averis lekichas moment de Malva al yada loiva nasis. Ve'ef shermi balodo. Ve'lechein misyaches ha-chomos gam lo ve'choshev gam hu eid chomos. Val korchach loy motzi lemisnei amalva v'alova kolchad ba'pei nafshe da haloive mifas atzmo ein li posol be'emes val korch kalinu b'chadach madachada le'inyan amalva v'shon amalva abba beribis kolemer shahalva nasis al yedei shneim v'iev shal lezulasa v'shneim tzulim ma'arik shirish kuf chav vav. Says the Ma'arik, not like Rashi. We're not reinterpreting what Rasha de Chomas means. Rasha de Chomas is what Rambam says. It's taking mami shaloi kedin. If that's the case, so why is the loiva included in it? Says Rabbi Yosef Engel, says the Ma'arik, because over here, who facilitated the Malva to take mami shaloi kedin? That could never have happened without the loiva giving him the money. So therefore, how do I look at this situation? I look at it as a malve ba'aba beribis. And since one can't exist, habaloi haloi sagi, this can't exist without the other, so he gets the shame shul, not because of lifnei iver, but because we look at the lekichas ribis of the malve as done through the loiva because he's necessary. Says Rabbi Yosef Engel, this exists on a positive level as well. This exists in overarching areas, not only in the area of Isurim. He says this is pshat in a woman's kiyum in the mitzvah of Puravu, in the mitzvah of Kiddushin. He quotes the Ran in Kiddushin. He says, sometimes in halacha you have package deals. You have package deals, you can't have the mitzvah without the other. And they get a chelik of that mitzvah because it couldn't have been done in other way, shape, or form. And that's going to be the pshat in our Rambam. That's the Ma'arik that's going to go against the Shita of Rashi. But Rabbi say it's hafla v'fela. The Gemara is meduyak heitiv. He asked Akasha, why didn't it say malve? Why didn't it say loiva? Why did the Gemara have to say this fancy song? Malve haba beribis. You want to know why? Because there was something bothering the Gemara. It was the kasha that I asked on the Rambam. Why is this guy a Rasha de Chomas? Don't reinterpret Rasha de Chomas like Rashi does. The Rambam knew what Rasha de Chomas was. It's like Keach Maman Shalai Kedin. The life is not like Keach Maman Shalai Kedin. So what's the teretz? There's package deals in halacha. And that's what the Gemara was hinting to. That the Gemara and the Mishnah said, Malve haba beribis, and there's a package of a loive and a malve, and the reason why the loive is also a Rasha de Chomas, according to those Rishonim that hold that he's pasul min HaTorah, so he needs to be a Rasha de Chomas, is because of this Ma'arik, because there's a package deal, and that's what Chazal were hinting to when they introduced it in that obscure way of Malve beribis.